Hello Hot Wheelers! I had actually done this video, but my camera had an error, so I have to redo it. It's ridiculous. Basically, I'm going to do a 3D printed wheel project on this Hot Wheels I picked up at the toy store. So, it says here this is an 89 Mazda Savana. Savana that's what it's called in Japan, by the way. And then it's obviously an RX7. And then the FC3S means it's the second generation Mazda RX7. So this generation was sold between 1986 and 1992, and there was a Series 4 and a Series 5. This being an 89, this would be a Series 5 model. So there was two engine choices. There'd be a naturally aspirated two-rotor rotary, and making around 160-ish horsepower. But the turbocharged version was making around 200 horsepower. And there was two scroll stages in that turbo system. The low scroll would be to reduce turbo lag, and then the actual larger scroll would be used to increase the output of the engine to 200 or so. So the styling of this, especially from this top view, it's influenced very much by the Porsche 924 and Porsche 944, because the chief project engineer, Akio Uchiyama, he went to America with his team, I guess, and they were researching RX-7 owners, and at the time, those Porsches, being the lower end of the Porsche scale, they were selling really well. So they thought they would use that styling to influence the styling of this, and I definitely think from this view it looks very similar. Okay. Whereas the first car was a very light, small vehicle, this gained 360 kilos. It became more of a grand tourer than a pure sports car. Okay, disc brakes became standard in this generation, and also the rear had a strange suspension, passive steering with the suspension. I guess the bushings would give a little bit when it was cornering, and it would create a toe-in effect or something where it would give it some steering. You can Wikipedia it. That's where I get all my information. So it is questionable here now, the model, as far as its realism. I mean, these lights are totally different, right? And then Hot Wheels, they didn't paint the black trim, unfortunately. But I guess for a mainline price, that's to be understood. Somewhere in my history, if you want to look up, Kyosho RX7, you might find a video review of this. This is from their Initial D series. So this is Initial D is a cartoon about drifting, by the way, if you guys don't know. And so this is in that cartoon, and it even has the graphics from the cartoon vehicle. So Kyoshos generally are 1/64 scale. So let's see how far off this guy is. I mean, you can clearly tell it's in the, I'm gonna guess, the 150, high 150, maybe 160 range. But we'll see. I looked up the length of the Series 5 RX-7 is 4315 millimeters. So if I measure the length of this and put it into 4315, so 70, well, I'm trying to make sure I get the longest point, 71.34. Yeah, it's 160.5 scale. Okay, well, Hot Wheels never claims to be 164. Every now and then you will get one that actually is 164, but they're really meant for those racetracks, They have to be a certain width to fit those racetracks, and they have to fit their wheels. They model the cars, I think, around the wheels instead of modeling a car and then modeling wheels to fit that. They go the opposite way to, so they can race around better. Okay. So let's see what other details Hot Wheels was able to get into this guy. These wheels are okay, if you don't mind the axles, which is what does bother me. So I'm going to do my own 3D wheels. I'm going to actually probably just do these OEM looking ones. For some reason they look like a 300Z wheel, right? But they're on that Mazda. So the panel gaps here, at least this one, that's a huge panel gap. My dental pick is totally going in there, so that's too bad. Then naturally white has a hard time covering up the casting. It's not a problem with Hot Wheels, it's a problem with all manufacturers. It's nice to see they printed on these lights though. because I can never paint them that well. I might go in with some black paint there though. So there's that hood bent there. It seems like there's a chip. The chip's missing on the wheel well here, so that's a shame. Yeah, really rough casting here. It's too bad. Now my camera cannot focus on this white object. Okay. So the rear end, it's nice to see the printing there. Especially on the license plate, you know, it's something. It says Hot Wheels. These are quite legible. Those are printed better than I could paint them, so that's nice. Unfortunately, another gouge there. Black three-dimensional exhaust tips are nice. And I guess this thing is from 2019. So the interior, I can see some details here through the smoked glass. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it's your basic Hot Wheels interior, and there's some detail there. The only thing really wrong with Hot Wheels interiors are the steering wheels. They're just blanked off like that. I mean, it looks like you could serve cake on that thing. Which is weird. I kind of feel like they could get a little bit more detail, like some arms in the steering wheel. They seem to get it everywhere else on the interior. The seats got ribbing and stuff. There's even an e-brake there. So, oh well. Hopefully in the future they can do a better job. The mirrors are kind of blobby, but they're kind of like that on the real car, so that's, I guess, as good as I can expect from Hot Wheels, the mainline that is. Unfortunately, the white paint, you know, again, is filling in this door handle quite a bit. It's too bad. Oh, sunroof. Huh. Alright. Okay, well, anyways, it's a nice little inexpensive project car, so let's see if I can make these wheels look any better. So here we are with some 10-spoke wheels that were originally on, I think, a 1987 RX7, because the photo I picked up has these wheels on it. I'll show you guys in a second. But beyond that, let's see. I added a little paint in here, some black, and then a little silver on these little fog light things. A little silver on the mirrors, and then a little silver and black on the exhaust tips. So just a little additional paint there. So it's interesting, in my research they had 5 spokes, 7 spokes, and these are 10 spokes, all in this swept fashion. So I decided to go with the 10s, I guess, just to be more complex, I suppose. But anyways, you'll see here, this is the photo of the car I was, looking at, and it's got these swept back 10 spokes, and hopefully, yeah, I mean, it looks similar. Truthfully, with 3D printing, you have to make sacrifices a lot. I originally had the surface of these wheels convex, like a slight dome to it, because I kind of feel like the real ones weren't perfectly flat. But when I printed them out, you could see the steps, and so it just looked like it had a bunch, like 2 random circles on the surface. So I ended up making them flat. I also had lug nuts sticking out a little bit, but the detail just got lost because my printer isn't that great. So I ended up just removing the lug nuts altogether and just having recesses. But in fact, the real wheel does have recessed lug nuts, so I guess it was for the best. And then you'll notice, in my case, since I have a resin printer, sometimes you get air bubbles. Like there's a little air bubble right there in the center cap. There on the back one as well. That's not intentional, it's just that there was an air bubble when the printer was hardening that layer of resin. See, on this side it's not an issue. That's perfectly flat the way it's supposed to be. That one just might be some extra paint pooling up. So yeah, you learn a lot with the 3D printer. It's not as easy as it sounds. I could have printed this maybe 4 or 5 times and maybe not gotten air bubbles, but the resin isn't cheap. It's like kind of expensive. It's like $60 a liter. So okay, well anyway, so that's this project here for this Hot Wheels. It's an alright casting again, but obviously it's not 1/64 scale. If you want to stick to 1/64, you probably want to stick with the premium brands, Kyosho, or I don't know if there's another brand making this particular RX-7 in a premium format, but I'm sure sooner or later someone else will do it. So the Kyosho one, it's okay, but I think it could be better. So if like Mini GT or Inno64 or Tarmac Works did it, I'm sure it'd be a lot better. Okay guys, well that's it for today's wheel mod. Thanks for watching again.